This one law will trump the law of attraction always. Greetings. What's up? It's Deborah. Happy Wednesday to you. And this is exciting. I can't believe I'm finally doing this. I finally worked up the courage to share something that I've known for a very long time. So we know ever since the popularity of The Secret and wonderful, wonderful teachers like Abraham Hicks and many others who've helped us understand better this idea of the law of attraction. It's not just an idea, it is a law. And I believe in it. I think it's a great law. However, it's always being presented as like the thing, the law. It is one of many laws, and it's not even close to the most powerful of laws, right? There are other laws that will override this law. So oftentimes when people feel like they are not succeeding at quote unquote attracting the life that they want or whatever they're trying to quote unquote manifest, and I say quote unquote because that's a different topic for another day, but when they're trying to do all these things, there's kind of two schools of thought, right? There's a bunch of people who think it's just a bunch of hogwash and baloney and don't really believe in it at all. And then there's a bunch of people who do believe in it at varying levels. And some people are gung-ho and like die hard. Good morning, Nikki. So lovely to see you. Die hard, fanatic followers of the law of attraction, right? And really have created amazing success for themselves with it. I'm not knocking it at all. However, the thing that does bother me about the law of attraction is not the law itself, but often how it is described and how it is used. It's often used as an excuse for boundary setting. So I've often heard people say things like, that person drains my energy. This whole situation is bad for my co-creative process. Or they'll say something to the effect of, I'm trying to manifest this thing and this is getting in my way. So I'm going to block them out. I'm going to cut them off. I'm not going to talk to them anymore. From that angle of somehow that disturbing your frequency to the point where you're not able to manifest what you want. The flip side of that is, of course, there's people who say, well, then I just need to continually, refine my point of attraction so I can continuously attract exactly what I want. Both sides of that can be slippery slopes. You end up having to cut off a whole bunch of people, or you end up in a situation where you're constantly feeling like you're working on yourself. And the danger in that is that you never feel like you're actually enough as you are. I know that might sound a little bit weird, but in truth, that's what's happening. I'd like to offer you a different perspective. It is the one that I use whenever I'm feeling kind of funky with the whole law of attraction thing. And it's this. It's the law of oneness. You, me, we're one. All of us, we're all one. The crickets, the babies, the turtles, the birds, the fish, the dolphins, we're all one. And the thing that's really nice about that is it helps us to understand that there's no real thing as boundaries. Boundaries are simply an illusion. They are a way of creating a sense of safety for ourselves that's actually not real, but it's just to help us feel better. Okay, fine. It makes you feel better, helps you feel safe. Cool. But understanding that it's fake, it's not real, can help you in situations where you might close yourself off too soon from someone else, or you might close yourself off too soon from an opportunity. Why do I say that? How could healthy boundary setting, Deborah, which is taught to us in all these personal development books and all these professional development books about setting healthy boundaries, how in the world could that cut me off from a positive opportunity? I'm going to tell you how. Do you notice if you look up the word boundary, I did this, I went into an image database and I typed in the word boundary. And the image that came up was a fence with wires on it. Kind of looked like a prison fence, okay? Think about that. Prison fence, boundary. Look up the definition of boundary. You will see that it is a limitation. If you and I are one, guess what? If I limit you, guess who else I limit? I limit me too. So every single boundary, by definition, is a limitation for both sides. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be limited. Do you? I don't want limitations. I want as much freedom as possible. Thank you very much. I do not want a maximum security prison fence in my life and in my relationships. So understanding that we are all interconnected and that we truly are all one in our true nature can free us from having to set unnecessary artificial boundaries. Well, Deborah, what about the people who are truly unsafe? What about the people who are truly unkind? What about the people who are truly mean or whatever? Okay. My thing on that is that there's a couple of things. Whatever we see in someone else is always still a part of us as well, because we're all one. It doesn't mean, that's why zero judgment is really important. I'm not talking about that today, but zero judgment is incredibly important, because when you judge others, you also have to judge yourself, and that never feels good, and it just becomes a slippery slope down a different way. But if you can understand that you and I are one, then the things that you're seeing in that other person, even if it looks very different for you, you can understand where they're coming from if you use your imagination a little bit. And the beauty of using your imagination to see where someone else is coming from is often you can also see another way out that doesn't require an artificial boundary setting. So let me give you a really simple example of this. This is something that is absolutely in the textbook definition of a boundary. If you look at the planet, you look at each country, you look at each city, you look at each state of a country, you'll see lines. But guess what? If you go drive in that country or on that state or in that city, you're not going to see any lines on the ground. Those lines are artificial. They're man-made boundaries. If you go from one country to another country, you will see clear, when you get to a checkpoint, you will see that they will say, okay, we need your passport, unless there's a treaties between the two countries. Why is that? Because if you try to travel between countries without a passport, they say, no, you cannot enter. Even if you're from that country, if you came without a passport, I mean, I'm sure there's some exceptions for like emergencies, but in general, you need a passport to pass country borders, boundaries. That restricts us. In a way, people say, oh, well, that's good because then the bad guys don't come over. But then this is assuming that the bad guy is different from you. But they're not. The so-called bad guy is just another part of you. So what's happening is that because we've really bought into this illusion that we're all separate, we've started to set boundaries that have created more problems than solutions because it's outside of our nature as human beings. Let's look at this a different way. Same country, same city, same state. In a time where indigenous peoples, nomadic peoples lived on those same lands and lived freely and hunted and whatever they did freely, there were no boundaries per se, even though there were some tribal separations. That's for another conversation. But we're talking about the physical, geographical boundaries of the nation, the state, the city. They were not there because those peoples had a better connection to the law of oneness, which says that you and I were all one. And guess what? The planet is for all of our homes. It's not just my home and you have to get out, and it's not just your home and I have to get out. It's everybody's home and it's nobody's home. Okay? So when you understand that at its core essential level, you will come to understand that boundary setting is artificial and there are ways to live and thrive and take care of yourself and each other without setting artificial boundaries. It just requires the openness to doing so. So why am I sharing this with you today? Well, I am a champion of oneness. It's like the reason why I am here on this planet is to open people's minds to other ways of seeing themselves and the world around them. Okay. And one thing that I know is creating so much unnecessary pain and suffering is this need for us to feel like we can create our own security through the setting of boundaries. It doesn't mean go jump into an alley in the middle of the night when it's dark, right? Because if you're doing that, then you're not listening to your intuition. You're not listening to the knowingness that you have that that's probably not a good idea. It just simply means minimizing restricting people, because when you restrict others, you also restrict yourself. How many times have you set a rule for your kids and then you're like, oh man, because I set this rule and they can't go out, now I can't go out? Happens all the time. Every parent knows this. That's boundary setting ricocheting its effect on you. So learning how to limit and lessen our use of limitations, aka boundaries, is absolutely essential to connecting back to our true nature and our understanding of oneness. When we do that, we find that the law of attraction will actually work better for us because we are less restricted and more open and thus more in flow. Okay, so would love to read your comments in the comments and enjoy. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm looking forward to seeing what your thoughts are on this. Much love. Bye.